Welcome to Continuum Guide, where we showcase research conducted by our team and share resources for individuals with disability. The goal of the Continuum Lab is to increase the research of exercise among people with disability and chronic health conditions, as well as the translation of that research. The purpose of the interview today is to discuss the personal experience with exercise as a person with a disability. We'll also discuss the experience in one of our recent programs, Smart Health. So today I have with us Claudia, who recently completed our Smart Health study. Thank you for joining today, Claudia.
Nice to be here.
So do you mind sharing with me some about your disability and how that impacts activities of daily living?
Well, my disability is a little bit complicated, but I sort of need to tell you the whole story. In 1971, when I was 14, a ependymoma was discovered and removed at T10, T11. It was malignant, and about 18 months to 2 years after that, my body completely healed, and you would have never known that I had a spinal cord injury. I think the reason I healed so quickly was because I was a jock and a tomboy, and I was extremely healthy as a 14-year-old. And plus I had a father who was a coach. And we did physical exercises every night when he got home from work. So I'm grateful. And they never let me give up. And then over the years, I guess, I had sort of a decline in my functionality in that I started wearing an AFO, and then this was just my left leg, and using a cane. And then in 2014, I had what was thought of as a hemorrhagic stroke in the same location at around T10, 11, 12. And 3 years after, so that's what put me in a wheelchair. 3 years after that intense physical therapy, I got to the point where I was using a walker and crutches in community. And then in 2018, I had a hospital-acquired infection, sepsis, which I think was at some point misdiagnosed. But anyway, it went to my spine and started eating my spine. So then I had a spinal fusion from T1 to T8. And that's where I am now. I won't ever get out of a wheelchair because I'm 66 and don't want to work that hard anymore to try to do it. I mean, if I had someone that could take me to physical therapy every day, I might be willing to do that, but I'm single and I'm pretty much reliant on myself to do what I need to do.
Thank you so much for sharing your story there and about how disability has impacted you. It sounds like, over and over again, several different events there. And one thing that you said that I wanted to note was how you said fitness and all was so important before your injury. And I actually had a similar case where the doctor said, if I wouldn't have been in such great physical shape, then I likely wouldn't have survived, my incident. And they just noted how important that was. So I think that's just really neat right there that we're already talking about how important fitness is before injury. So before we're even going into it about disability.
Yeah, absolutely. And that mindset stayed with me all my life. I was always a swimmer, a competitive swimmer when I was a kid. So that I think having that mindset really is important to recovery. And like I said, if I could get to physical therapy every day, or even to some kind of I don't know, they have these gym sort of places where they're physical therapists on site, but you don't necessarily work with them. I don't know what they're called, but anyway, that would be great. But it's just too hard for me to get anywhere in a car anymore, because I have to put my wheelchair in the back, and then I use a walker to get to the front. And, it takes me 10 minutes to get in my car versus somebody takes like 10 seconds, right?
You've talked a lot about some of the importance for exercise, how it's benefited you both from a physical standpoint, again, before the injury and going to aiding with recovery, but also just that mental aspect and sort of the mindset around living a healthy, active lifestyle. So you started talking a bit there about sort of your experience with trying to exercise. Can you share more about that, both from what's worked and what hasn't worked? Like going to the gym, obviously, is more difficult. But is there's some things, some other things you want to add to that?
2 months ago, I had a bad wreck in my wheelchair. And I'm just telling you now that because it's sort of anecdotal, but so I have 2 fractures in my pelvic region, one in my sacrum and one in my left hip, or not my hip, my pelvis. So I've done nothing really for 2 months now, except for some upper body stuff. Before the weather turned, I would still get in my pool, even though my neurosurgeon said not to. I have a tiny little exercise pool in my backyard and just get in there more for the comfort than really doing anything, and just doing very, very minor, slow, easy leg lifts, because for me, it's my lower half of my body, not my upper body. I've got a very strong upper body, and that's, I think, from just being in a wheelchair pretty much all day long. I don't think I answered your question.
No,
What's
that's
what's
excellent.
the importance of exercise? Was
Yeah,
that
well, how you've engaged in it. So focusing on your upper body, definitely important, but that's very interesting about the pool. Like you said there, the movement is just exercise, and it's so important to the body. I think so often we get caught up on this high intensity and moderate vigorous exercise and increasing our heart rate, but simply getting people to move, because that's what the body was designed to do, and you get benefits just to move. So it's very interesting that you sort of noted that. And again, this is for people with disability, where a lot of our movement can be more restricted because of disability, but we still need to move.
right? Absolutely. And this is what's really interesting. Since I had this crash, my neurosurgeon doesn't want me to put any weight on my legs. So, which is really, really difficult, because just think about it, trying to wash dishes from your chair. I mean, I haven't, whatever you call it, made my kitchen accessible. So trying to wash dishes without standing up is really difficult. Trying to brush your teeth or wash your face without standing up is difficult. So I didn't realize how important my legs are to me until this incident, until this accident. So I guess,
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
that's sort of weird to say, because I've always missed my legs, but being able to use my walker or stand up at the sink, I didn't realize how important that was until this happened.
yeah. And going back to what you said about your doctor and sort of his guidance, has he provided any guidance for you in regards to exercise, or has it been more of a safety concern? No, don't do this. Stay out of the pool. Don't put weight on your legs. Has he provided any, actual positive guidance towards exercise?
No, because I think mainly because he's a neurosurgeon.
Mhm.
And when this first happened, I went to see my orthopedic surgeon, even though I haven't had any surgeries, but he's sort of my go-to guy. And he said, no, this is too complicated. You need to go to Dr. Singh, because we didn't know what was really going on. Even though I'd had x-rays and 2 CAT scans of my brain, because I thought I had had a concussion. So no, I was supposed to go to physical therapy, but that was never, they never, for whatever reason, they didn't call in the prescription, and then I forgot to follow it up. And it would have also been really difficult for me to go to physical therapy, because I can't drive right now. So it would have been hard. So anyway, I'm sort of glad that I haven't been going to physical therapy, because it would have been much harder. So what I've been doing on my own, now that it's cooled down and I can't get in my pool, is just doing some very minor leg exercises like leg lifts and things that I don't think would be at all stretching that would hurt me at all.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. And that's often what exercise sort of is. And people see exercise for people with disabilities as simply going to physical therapy on a regular basis, which I think, it has some benefits for all of us. But then the next step is, exercise on our own and being able to do those things. And I like how much you're mentioning the importance of driving and the ability to do that. And I definitely think we'll have a future episode just talking about driving and the challenges there and have some resources on how to get, best set up for that or navigate that because it's a big challenge. It's a big challenge and a big need. So.
it is. It's huge. And I'm a very, I don't even know if this is correct, but I'm a very able-bodied disabled person. And so to be like, I keep telling people I'm still grounded. To be grounded, like, your parents would ground you. I never got grounded, but that's how it feels. I really feel like I've been in prison. People have to go get me my groceries, and it's just a big pain because I'm probably getting way off course again, but it's difficult for me to ask for help. And so, sending somebody to the grocery store for me and then them bringing home the wrong stuff, it's like,
Yeah.
it drives me nuts.
Yeah.
So driving is huge. Anyway.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I'll rein it back in for us, but I do want to make a comment on that.
Okay,
How much the medical model of disability is is a lot of what you've talked about. The doctors just focused on your physical functioning there and more about safety concerns and stuff like that. But really, it's moved to this social model of disability, which talks about our environment is so much of what disables us. So if we don't have access to drive or access to wash dishes, easy and don't have the support that we need, then we are more disabled, so to speak. So, I was talking to someone recently. Can I say that I'm less disabled because I have some of these pieces in place? But when I have a stair lift at home when it's not working, then I feel more disabled, so I can't get to the room I need to. But yeah, it's very, very important. But going back to really that support, and as it pertains to exercise, have you found that you have family or friends that are supportive of exercise? Are they exercising themselves?
That's sort of a range, right? I have a friend who does yoga like 3 times a week. She does what she calls a walkabout probably every single day. And I'm sure it's cardiovascular kind of a walkabout. And then I have a good friend who's suffering from depression, and her doctor has told her she really needs to exercise. So, and I know that for myself, exercise helps me mentally. I mean, besides all the physical stuff, physical, less pain, right, when you exercise, and then emotionally and psychologically and all that kind of stuff. And then the rest of my friends, I have a lot of friends that are healthy, but I don't really know about their exercise. And then I have friends who don't exercise at all and are sort of slugs. And okay, so I'll stop there because otherwise I could go on.
Yeah, definitely having it's good to have people around you that are like-minded and exercising. It's definitely going to influence our behavior a lot. And just to point out some of the things that you said there, there's the physical benefits, but also the mental well-being. We feel more sharper, more alert, but also the emotional. And that's something that I've gone into recently is really the emotional release and the stress release that it can provide to really just get that out during a workout when the heart's pumping, because when we're emotional, our heart is also pumping. And so if we can release that through physical means, it's definitely beneficial. And I haven't seen that talked about very much, but I think it's important.
Yeah, it is very important. And that's why I love the pool too, because when I was a swimmer, I could work out so many problems when I was swimming. I can't really say I swim anymore because my legs don't work, but I attempt it. But when you're swimming, if you've been swimming all your life, it's like not routine, but it's auto, you're on autopilot or something. So if your body's doing what it's supposed to be doing, but at the same time, I could work out all kinds of problems in the pool while I was swimming, and then you get out of the pool and not only do you feel great physically, but, emotionally or psychologically or whatever, it's all so much better there too.
Yeah, that's excellent. And for me, when I started running before my injury as a kid, and then later when I got into wheelchair racing, I could kind of go to that place where it would kind of be an escape. Because I would focus, try to avoid really the pain of the running and the breathing and pushing through by, using my imagination, and that allows, that sort of the detachment from focused on the constant stress or worries or anxieties going on in life. So,
Yeah.
um,
What
okay,
do you mind me asking what your disability is?
I have a spinal cord injury, so at T5 level
Okay.
injury. Um, so what you've talked some about this, but what's been the hardest part about incorporating exercise in a daily life? You had to pick one thing.
Laziness.
Okay.
Just
Uh,
not making time for it.
Gotcha. And why do you think that is? If you could unpack that a little bit more for us.
Well, I think it's because I have so much to do. Like you were talking about earlier, if you had a support system or somebody that came in and cleaned or cooked my food or went to the grocery or anything like that, I would probably have more time and would make more time than I do. And I think it's just maybe laziness is not the right word, but not making it a priority.
Do you think that procrastination or something falls in line with that, or some type of avoidance, maybe?
I don't think avoidance necessarily,
Okay.
but maybe procrastination might be a good word.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm I'm not generally a procrastinator in other things, other aspects of my life, but you know, because you have to get certain things done.
Mhm.
So what's the point of procrastinating? But
Yeah.
yeah,
So making it a priority is the hardest thing, is what it sounds like. And I've seen that a lot for, a bunch of other beneficial activities for our lives. People find it really hard to prioritize things that, we believe to be important. So, uh, and the opposite of that, what have you found to be the most helpful in supporting your exercise behavior?
well, doing the smart health study was really beneficial because I felt obligated to do it because somebody was watching me, right? Or somebody was monitoring me, or somebody wanted me to be successful. So it was that outside stimulation that I felt was really, really drove me to do what I needed to do. Plus, I didn't want to disappoint anybody, if that's part of it. But yeah, that was a huge motivation for me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. I think accountability
Yeah.
has been so underestimated as a resource for people, because I think for so long, maybe accountability has been associated with shame, shame around, not exercising or being healthy or something like that. And it's really not that. It's just a structure in place, whether it's just routinely meeting with someone, or some people like to have a system of, having to give someone $100 or something like that if they didn't meet their goals this week or something.
Right.
It's not anything that we need to be guilty over, but to have systems in place that encourage, that sort of positive behavior.
Yeah.
Um, so you talked about Smart Health Program and its sort of benefit, to having that level of accountability. Is there any other positive experience you want to talk about from the Smart Health Program?
Well, having the resource of the videos, I've gone back and, so you're very familiar, I guess, with them. I can't do the cardiovascular stuff because it's too hard. I mean, I could do some of the very early ones, but I couldn't do the later ones because it was too hard and too fast. And even though I tried to do like halftime, if she was going like this, then I would try to do this. So that's hard. That's hard psychologically, I think, to do it for some reason. So I found that I was getting pain from trying to keep up with Zoe. So then what I would do is the warm up and the cool down, and maybe some of the Zoe stuff in the middle. And so now I'm going back to doing, I think they called him participant 1 or something like that. But anyway, just because I feel better doing the upper body stuff, because it's a different kind of using my upper body than being in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's great. And that's something that we really want to do ultimately, is continue to create more and more videos and resources, programs that people can follow along to have something. Because oftentimes it can be hard for people with varying degrees of disability to know what to do and what's beneficial. And that takes more time to be able to do that. So this is to sort of cut down on that time for people to create their own plans or come up with their own research, their own sort of movement patterns. So I'm glad that was helpful. And sort of a last question here is in regard to commercial programs or products like activity trackers and things like that. What would be something that you would like to see on the market in the near future to support exercise?
I don't think I thought about, oh yeah, that is a question here. I don't think I really thought about that, but it was interesting because I've never had a Fitbit before. And I really I got pleasure, to be honest, out of seeing how many steps or whatever it was I did during the day. Now I can't, it's no longer syncing. So you know how at the end of the day you get up to like 20 or 18 or 22 and stuff starts. Well, it won't do that, but I even wore it for a while after just to see how I was doing, because I did get some kind of satisfaction knowing that I did do 5,298 steps, even though I still don't understand quite how they track steps if I'm in a wheelchair. But so what was the question?
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm not really a gear kind of person, so I wouldn't know, but I would love to do something like this for my lower body. I think I can't remember her name. The woman who, the young lady who I checked in with once a week.
Okay, Maddie.
Okay. So she sent me to a site where she thought I could find exercises for my lower body, but I guess I wasn't successful in finding it, or I don't know, something I did. I'm sure I did something wrong there, but anyway, that's what I really need now that I know what I need to do for my upper body. I really need to know, I need to have a home exercise program for my lower body that's actually doable. Because, you go to physical therapy and they send you home with a home exercise program, but I don't think it's not really realistic. As you can imagine, I've been in and out of physical therapy for years, decades really. And the Smart Health program for my upper body is really doable. So I really need something like that for my lower body.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and there's really not that out there. There's Fitbit Premium has a library of videos as well as Apple Fitness Plus. And when you go on there, you're not able to search for things such as to that specific, not even wheelchair user, but you can scroll through and find them. However, within those videos, they have movements that are not, functional for some people. So a great thing for the future, we want to continue to develop these resources, and we have some videos for different functional levels, so we can share those with you. And it would be great. We want to create a website where people can search and then continue to find continue to find the videos, that are most relevant to them, that'll kind of pop up to the top.
Yeah.
But that's really interesting too. You mentioned about Fitbit. The more we can sort of, gamify it or give that reward boost, good feeling, I think the more people will exercise regularly. So
Yeah, I think so too. And one more thing I just thought about, during the pandemic, I tried doing chair yoga with some local instructor, and I've tried many different things, or I can't remember them all, but none of them really, I mean, they don't have, as far as I know, that I haven't found chair yoga for a wheelchair user, you know.
mhm.
Maybe it's out there and I just haven't bothered searching, but it's things like that to make it easier to exercise, so you don't have to go someplace. And because I think most of us know that you start exercising when you start feeling pain, right?
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
mean, I think some of us, that's a motivation for some of us. And I know it has been for me in the past. But so if we could get beyond that and just acknowledge that even 20 minutes every day is just so much, it's just would be so great for you if you could just do that. If I could just do it, and I know I should do it, and I know all the reasons to do it, but
Definitely. Well, and at the end of the day, it comes down to individual preferences and needs, and that's sort of the goal of the SMART program, and what we want to do with how we can sort of formalize the system of tailoring it to each individual. And I actually do know someone that does yoga and wheelchair users, so I'll share that with you after this, and even link it as a resource in our sort of show notes at the end too. Um,
great.
Anything else that you wanted to share before we close out the show?
um I don't know, did I ever answer everything?
Yep. Thank you so much for your time, and it really provided a lot of great information and just experience, just talking about it as a person with a disability trying to exercise every day. And I'm sure this interview will be really impactful and provide great insight for other people that have the same struggles, or also have experienced the same sort of benefits from exercise.
Right, well, good, I'm glad I could help.